Two. Cool. All right, we are back in motion now. I was having some difficulties getting the stream to record. See, that's why sometimes it just don't get recorded. But yeah, so thank y'all for hopping on. Let's just hop right into things. By watching or reading this, you're saying you understand the following. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not trading advice. This session is solely for educational purposes. There's significant financial risk associated with options trading. I'm not liable for your wins or losses in the market if you decide to act on this information. So look, man, on Friday, let's just hop right into it. On Friday, the top call options flow went into PDD and followed by Tesla Coin, Upstart, and MSTR. Shout out to Meta. I always just do the top five, but I had to give Meta a shout out. On the put side, it was Riot, FXI, ACN, Hood, and BE. For the week, the top call options flow went into PDD, Coin, Amazon, AMD, and UPST. For the put side, we had Nvidia, Lulu, Microsoft, Meta, and Tesla. All right, cool. Let's just go right into everything. All right, yeah, I gotta move this slide because I just like to go right into market talk. But yeah, so just again, so this slide, we updated this slide at the beginning of the month. I haven't updated it again yet. As you can see, year to date, we're at 47K. So again, this is from per single option. So just for all the new members that are here or people just watching from the sidelines, wondering whether they want to be a part of this community or just if they want to, if if what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? Because we got some people in the community, they may have learned how to trade and stuff like that, but um, it may not be fully working the way they want it to work out. So just understand it's like you don't have to make a whole lot of money every single day. You don't have to make a whole lot of money every week, but it's about being consistent and making those profits. So as you can see, year to date, 47K for the $250 membership. That's 18,000% ROI year to date. For the 175, that's 26.9K ROI year to date. And all you got to do is buy one contract. So, the risk management is impeccable. So just stick with the process. I tell everybody, just you don't want to ever trade with more than 20% of your total available cash to trade per single trade. So think about it. If I alert a trade in the community and it costs more than 20% of your total available cash to trade, then you may want to say, let me sit this one out. Because listen, every trade is not going to be perfect. Sometimes you're going to die. I tell you, this is in our options trading Bible. And the reason I say that 20%, because if you die, and we will at times, you have four more lives left. So you want to be able to come back and move forward with advantages. You don't want to be tapped out. So just try to follow this process and stick with it, man. We make a lot of money around here. Keep it moving. So I'm not gonna go through this whole thing, but like I said, every month we've been accumulating a lot of money. So the smallest month we had this year thus far was the first month of the year where we only made $4,600 for the month. I said only. That's funny though, right? February 8,400, March 6,100, April where is it? 8,000, 6,400 for May, for June 5,900, for July 6,300. So, you get what I'm saying. It's just you just want to make sure that if you stick to the process, things gonna work out for you. You're gonna make some money and you're gonna be profitable. You know, you can, and trading is 90% psychological. So, and I ain't gonna, again, like I told y'all in on threads, I'm gonna try to keep it short today. I don't want to go too long. I want to finish this in half the time today. So we're gonna work on doing that. And but yeah, I just want to say that trading is 90% psychological. So every now and then you may hit a big win and it may make you feel good and make you forget about all of those losses, but that's not realistic. So let's say if you're down if you're down, you're in a hole $1,000 and you hit for $500 later on in the week, right? You're still down $500. You have a net profit of well, a net negative, right? So it's net profit. That net profit, it comes to negative $500, right? So you aren't really. But if I lose money, because we're gonna talk. We got some stuff to talk about. So right, but if I lose money following my process, if I lose money following trading the way I would normally trade, so I know I did what I would normally do, that's not going to discourage me from doing it again, from following my process, because it works. Sometimes there are things that happen that causes it not to work. Sometimes it is your fault. Sometimes it is something that you did wrong, but you have to be able to identify those things. I gave myself a C minus for this week. We'll talk about why later, but like last week, Friday heading into the close, alerted a meta trade. Meta pulled right back down to it held support, and it was fighting for support, held support, and called that trade out heading into the close over the weekend. Sunday night, when the 24-hour, when the overnight, when the futures market opened, Meta was up like $5, $6, well, like $5. The next morning, pre-market, some news came out. They were restructuring, and the stock fell off a cliff. Right? There's nothing you can do to control stuff like that. And there's nothing you can do about it. But it shouldn't discourage you from following the process and doing what you should do. And so we tracked Meta all week, and we tracked it all week, and from that day, from and Meta made a move down, and there was one level that was very critical for Meta, and it found its way back above that level later on in the week. So, of course, I'm gonna take that trade again. You know what I'm saying? But I was telling KK, I said, a lot of people who I bet a lot of people did not take the trade because of what happened last week, as opposed to looking at what happened, as opposed to looking at the setup, looking at the price action, and looking at the what the overall setup, the overall process, and the actual trade and the circumstances. You know what I'm saying? So you can't trade based off of what happened in the last trade. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people after a big win, everybody want to get into the trade, and then sometimes, and even if it's there, and some people get in there with their last, they skip, they say F that process. I missed out on that last trade. I want to be a part of it, and then they blow their accounts. So I don't want you to ever trade because of what happened the last time. I want you to trade because of the setup. And I want you to be militant with your setup. Win or lose, be militant with your setup. That's how you're going to build that muscle memory, that confidence. And that's the only way you can really get the psychological portion of this trading down pack. That's the only way it's going to work. So just wanted to tell y'all that. Does anybody have anything they want to say? I mean, I know KK has something to say, but just wondering.
I was going to talk about meta because I know you asked for the homework for us to talk about how we played meta, and I definitely could have played it better. So initially, we gapped down below a few levels. That's when I should have took the initiative to sell right there. But me just being unaware at the start of the market, I didn't. But then I noticed that we got a hard bounce off of that. I think it was the seven. It was like a 760 level. So I stayed in
Okay.
it, and to really like the end of the day when we were fighting to close with a hammer, but because we didn't get above the 9 EMA and we kind of rejected hard, I closed right before the day ended.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up because, like you said, Meta closed. It closed with a hammer. But remember, I want you to remember this though. Remember, so that I don't know if it was, yeah, Monday, maybe it was Monday night. I recorded a video covering Meta, and I said Meta closed just under a key resistance level. So it's likely it's probably going to come back down. So I was like, I said, if you want to play it, you want to, it'll probably reject off this level and then come back down. And the next day, that's what it did. So listen, so even on Friday, if you look at Friday, I called out a Meta trade on Friday. Meta closed under the 9 EMA, but it closed over that key level, that same key level. You know what I'm saying? So when you think about things in totality, like, I'm a support and resistance guy at heart. So it's a support and resistance is going to trump everything. I don't care what other setup I see. It's going to be support and resistance first. So yeah, but you see, but no, I see what you're saying. Are you like, okay, I waited to see because it was fighting. It looked like it was gonna, but I always say when in doubt, zoom out, right? But always figure out where to support it and where the resistance is. But yeah, I see what you mean. As far as because it was fighting. Now the thing is, that would have been a good place to. But how would you know, right, to buy the dip on that one and ride that up to the top? You know what I'm saying? So how would you know to do that? And I always tell people not to catch a falling knife. So on certain trades, I'm like, nah, I'm not even gonna average down on that. But yeah, no, that was good. Good, good. I did see when you typed that in the chat too. So yeah, thanks for the feedback.
Oh, no
Anybody
problem.
else?
Me
Cool, cool.
personally, I like to follow my rules. And so I opened it. It was already down about like 40, 50%. And so my rules, I cut mine around 20, 30, just depending on the premium size. So I cut mine just right to open.
Okay, cool, cool. That was a smart move. Just cut it right at open. Just to see. Yeah, yeah, it's like it was already, especially because like when I see a stock falling down and I don't know why it's coming down, first I'm gonna go look and see if there's any news, if there's anything. And I had a whole write up set up. I had a whole setup um written up as when I was coming back from wherever I was. And but I said, I just yeah. But no, that was good. That was a good idea to just cut it at open. Anybody else? I'm asking y'all this for a reason because I got some, just giving y'all some thoughts on things because I want to say this though. So even for the new people who are here, we have these meetings every Sunday, and for a while we weren't having them live. I was just recording them, and the recording will be available because I was able to get the stream working. That's why I was a few minutes late, but sometimes these meetings they weren't getting recorded. They were just I mean they weren't interactive. They were just getting recorded, and I was just posting them. I went back to just recording. I mean to making them interactive and live because these meetings are for y'all. This is the weekly options forecast. We're preparing for the upcoming trading week, whether it's economic data, chart setups, earnings, whatever it is, we're preparing for it right now. So this is the time where, especially during market talk, this is the time where if there's anything that happened in a week before or that you may have needed me to unpack a little more or something that happened or just like something that you just didn't or if I'm going over something when I get to the charts and because the thing is people want like when I get to the chart portion I already got a preset of charts that I want to cover because I'm going to alert trades this week. You know what I'm saying? Like I already got charts set up that I want to cover. And and I'll give feedback where people want to give me more charts to look at, stuff that they found, but I never get feedback about like, okay, what do I do if this, I never really get the real feedback that I'm looking for, the real questions so I can teach, so I can tell y'all. So that's why I set out Monday because we didn't get, I'm like, okay, so this seems like they all got it. They all understand what's going on. So as much as I wanted to jump in Monday morning and say something, I stood out because I wanted to reflect on this meeting. Like, like because if I want, you gotta understand, I am holding the back of that bike a lot of times. So, but I really need your feedback. And the reason I need your feedback is because I've been doing this for so long that sometimes I may be so what's the word I'm looking for? Some things I may cover may be high level because I'm so used to doing this, and it may be extra details that someone may have needed that I may have overlooked because I'm so used to just covering certain things. So when I get certain questions, it let me know what type of support my team need for the week. So I'm like, okay, they were asking questions about this. So when this comes up in real time while we're trading, maybe I'll add more support. Maybe I'm gonna throw a life raft around this time because the team don't understand that, or I'm gonna point out the rip current in real time when we're in these shark infested waters because that was one of the questions that kept coming up. So now I know the team need help with that. But when I be wanting to look because at the end of the day, I started trading options for for a while. I've started trading it because I wanted freedom and I liked options. I liked how difficult the Greeks were and how intricate it was. It wasn't just about trading stocks and it wasn't just about support and resistance. There's so many variables to options and it's so difficult. It's going to challenge you forever. It's always going to be something to learn. That's why I love options. So there's so many levels to it And but yeah, just so that's why I be asking questions, not because I wanna for vanity purposes or for ego reasons or for the meeting's sake or nothing like that. It's because I'm trying to gain more insight into my team and to see how to to be a even better teacher. So it's like every time in order to reach everybody, you got to know what they need. So yeah, so that's the reason why. Hey
Yeah,
KK, what's going on? I know you got something to say. Oh, what's up? K.
yeah. So,
I'm sorry.
yeah, I know.
AK.
Yeah, so I know, like in the past, like I think personally for me, whenever I think a bigger trade is given out, I think you speak about the psychological side of it, right? And I think that's definitely has gotten to me. So whenever there's a bigger trade and whenever there's a pullback, I tend to kind of like sell it at a loss rather than I think waiting for the retest or for the for the uptrend to happen. So I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't take like Meta last week as well, because it was definitely on the higher side, and I thought the trade would get to me if indeed there was a pullback. So I'm just thinking like when situations like these happen, right? Like one of the bigger trades, do you think there's a certain a different methodology or a different approach that you ought to take, or it's just the same all throughout? I know you should
No, so
sorry, just to add on to that, I know you always say like P and L shouldn't matter, right? It's always the setup over everything. So yeah.
okay, so like when you say a different, you mean as far as like how I set out Monday?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
cool. Well, that's a well. So no, well, the thing is, like I said, I did that because at the end of the day, like for example, I like first of all, I like what you said. You said you didn't take the trade because it was too expensive for you, because and if it did pull back, you wouldn't have been comfortable with that. I like that because then you know who you are as a trader and you're accepting the fact that like when you're uncomfortable, it's hard to be confident when you're uncomfortable because you're not at your best. So that's why like if I always say if you can't swim, don't go deeper than 3 feet because you can be comfortable in 3 feet even if you can't swim. But if things start to get a little rough, deeper out, you're not going to be able to have control over it, right? So I like that you said that. What I will say about this is I'm off on Mondays. So even if I wasn't like, even if I play tennis on Mondays. So and what I was saying, I had a whole thing I had written up, but I was literally in Wegmans when the market opened. When stock market opened, I told Kay I was in Wegmans getting me some. They got these not cantaloupe. You know how they got melon, honeydew melon, but they got these orange ones. They're organic, but they're orange. They're melons. They're orange, right? So I went to get them because they, you got to get them early. So I went and bought all of them. Like it was like six left. I bought all of them, right? So I wasn't around when the market opened, but I had something I written up at like 6 a.m., 6 or 7 a.m., right? And but I'm off on Monday, so you have to really think. So I like your question, but I just want to lead with this. Everybody knows, like I can sometimes I choose to trade on Mondays, or excuse me, like 2 Mondays ago, I came in and alerted a QQQ call on a Monday. I could choose when I'm locked in. And I'm gonna trade when I want to trade. You know what I'm saying? So even but Monday, because when I used to work for companies, when I used to work for them people, it was like Mondays was always the worst day, dreaded day. Everybody hate Mondays, right? So I said I'm gonna play tennis on Mondays. That's my off day. So if I alert, no matter what, even though I was trying to show you guys something last week specifically. That's why I never at no point did I come into the chat on Monday, right? Last week. But outside of that, I'm off on Mondays. So you have to really think you got to really understand around here like Jazz wouldn't take certain trades, KK not going to take certain trades, and these are some of my top shotters in the community, right? And they won't take certain trades. And like what's Max won't take trades on a Friday going into a Monday because I'm off on Mondays, stuff like that. So people don't take these things into account. So it's like every trade isn't for everybody. Like for example, I'm there. So some of the new members, what you're going to see is we have a channel called Market Talk, and sometimes on days when I'm not going to be around, even if I'm going to be around, I can't trade. I can't alert every single trade, and I'm not going to every single setup that I see. I'm not going to trade it, but I'll post charts in the Market Talk channel with with levels, with the trigger for calls, with the and with the targets on there, right? So entries and exits on there. But you also have to find a setup when the stock hits the trigger for calls, or the trigger for puts. That's just the alarm to let you know that it's in play now. But now you need to go find a setup, right? So but those aren't for everybody. New traders should wait for my call out. So you're not gonna get a call out every day. Some days I'm not gonna trade, but you're gonna make money every week. Some days it's just gonna be like that. But you see how at the end of the month you're gonna make several $1,000s by the end of the month. You're gonna be over 1,000% ROI on what you paid to be in this community. But you have to have that patience if you're here to really learn or whatever. So AK, when you say would that for it being such an expensive trade, would I have done a different methodology? This is what I'm saying. I came here last Sunday to see if the team was going to need me on Monday. I came here on Sunday, last Sunday. I asked a whole lot of questions. KK came out. We unpacked so much data, and we were practically begging for questions, and everybody was like, okay, they was good. And
Right. Yeah.
I went over that chart in totality.
Y-
And let me finish my thoughts though.
mhm, mhm.
I went over Meta in great detail. I trade Meta more than any other stock. Meta has made us more money in this community than any other stock, right? We've been trading Meta for a long time. But the whole point is like, so when we come in here, I'm like, you got it. It's like, you go to everybody work for a living, right? So if you're going through something with your manager, your supervisor, whatever, they leave you they say, okay, well, cool. What's going on. Do y'all got it? You sure you don't need any help? You sure you got it? Okay, cool. Because I'm not going to be around on Monday. So then people want you. It's like, so I'll ask you guys a bunch of questions. Like we literally, that was a 2 hour meeting last week, and we don't even do 2 hour meetings. We had a 2 hour meeting because I wanted to make sure that we covered. It was a lot of stuff to cover, and it was a really lessons learned type meeting. So it was one of those meetings where everybody it was open for everybody to bring their feedback. So the fact that we were asking for so much feedback and asking and we didn't get it, so it's like come on now, you got to be reasonable and be considerate. And like I'm a person just like everybody else. It's like, okay, cool, I alerted this trade on Friday, and we talked a lot about the whole everything. But like I said, I'm off on Mondays, so it's give or take. You never know if I'm gonna be here on Monday morning. So that's just how it goes. But one thing for certain and two things for sure, there's a set of rules in place that everybody should be following. There's a set of rules that at market open, at 9 a.m. there's a alert that pops up in the community that tells y'all that I don't trade on Mondays, and it gives you a set of rules. It gives you a link to the options trading Bible. It gives you a link to the trading checklist. And when market opens, it's a few other automatic messages that comes up. So everybody are equipped. Is almost like, okay, well, if a store, here's your life raft, and if this happened, do this, and if this happened, do this. All of those things, all of the parameters are set up, so I didn't have to be around. It's like everybody shouldn't be just jumping in everything. And then on a Sunday, if I'm asking y'all, like I said, I use these meetings to determine whether or not, okay, cool, I can chill on this day. Or a lot of times, so I'm gonna tell you, AK, there's so now it kind of, I'm not saying this make me do this, because I don't really, it won't. But there are different ways I can handle it. I could just not call out a trade on Friday going into the close. I can not call out a swing trade going into the close. That will alleviate everything, because then we don't have to worry about the wrong people taking the trade and expecting me to be around on my off day. You know what I'm saying? Or especially if the people aren't asking questions on a Sunday, that where my antennas are up to the point where I'm like, okay, maybe I need to point this out if this happens. Maybe I need to do this if this happens. But you guys say you got it. You have to stand on that. That's just how you have to stand on it, because that's what we're here for. I'll walk you guys through any storm you need if you ask me questions and if you ask for help. But everybody's too good to ask questions. Everybody has got too much pride. And this is your hard-earned money. You're not playing with paper money. You're not paper trading. You're playing with your hard-earned money. If you are unsure, do not take that trade. If you are, like I said, I called out a lot of strangles around here too for certain events, and I tell everybody, don't take the strangles if you don't understand how the strangle work. We have pinned posts that I talk about in the start here. So it's a lot of, excuse me, a lot of things that go down in this community are a result of people not following the process. People jump in here and they want to gamble. They take things out of the box, don't read the directions, and just start putting it together and got all these extra pieces left over. And then they like, well, man, this is broken. It don't work. I'm like, did you read the directions? You're not, that part doesn't go there. So, everybody's got a responsibility around here. So for me taking, it's warm. It's a really nice day outside. It's not too hot. I prepped for this meeting to be here when I could be on a tennis court right now. You know what I'm saying? So I took that, do these meetings for y'all. So for you not to have real questions, like people will pop out and give me a chart to look at. And don't get me wrong, shout out to y'all, or ask me some high level question that they don't really need to know the answer to just to check a box. But the real vulnerable questions that they really need to know the answers to, when I'm covering certain things, they don't say anything. So I think you're good because we're adults. I'm like, you're not going to lie about your money. You're going to tell me if you're good or not. This is the time. This meeting is for you, right? So yeah, so no, I won't change the way I do things around here as far as that goes. But I will be apprehensive on some days on, like because AK last Friday we were on live stream last Friday also, um and we talked about that you know Walmart. We talked about the Walmart trade, playing Walmart as an IV move and selling it before earnings. You know what I mean? That trade went up 100 and something% before earnings. That's not a trade that I put into the chat because I would have had to go into too much detail. So, but if we were on live stream, I could really give you guys the the in-depth explanation and cover everything I needed to cover for that. So I felt comfortable doing that and it worked. It played out to perfection. But I know some people held it through earnings anyway and got clapped. So, but they could have made 100% profit if they listened. But so if I just posted that in the chat, what would have happened, even if I posted commentary behind it, some people wouldn't have read the commentary. They just would have, they just alert bots. They look for the alerts and they say, okay, he said by the 100 call, okay, for this particular expiry, cool. I'm whatever. I didn't read any of the other commentary. I'm just gonna get the call out. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta there are more people in here following the process than not. So I have to, I have to be there for those traders and everybody else. Like I said, this community isn't for everybody, but because I'm a hold you guys accountable. This is my full-time job. Trading is a business. If you serious about trading, and some people don't want to quit their job, some people want to work, and that's fine. If you just want to do overtime, if you just want to use this as like your replacement for overtime, or just to give you more confidence and stability at work, to build such a nest egg where you don't have to take certain things from your manager anymore. You can do it. I'm gonna teach you how to trade like a business. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna take some losses. Some things are just not gonna work out, and that's fine. But trade like a business. Don't be jumping in every single trade. Follow this process. But this comes with it, like any other real job or career. They have orientation. You go into orientation. They're gonna tell you how to enter your timesheet. They're gonna tell you the do's and don'ts. They're gonna tell you what time you have to be to work. They're gonna tell you what your responsibilities are, and they're gonna have these expectations. People come into this community and they'll come in and say, "Well, where are the trades getting called out at?" I'm like, "Oh shit, he didn't read the start here." And just to make the start here even easier, I recorded a video to cover everything in there, so you don't have to, just depend on text. And when a member first joins this community, they get tagged in a post that tells them to start there and everything. So people who aren't doing it, they just aren't doing it. And I can't control that, but they aren't gonna be here long if they don't do it, because they're gonna blow their account, and that's just what's gonna happen. But I gotta keep on moving because I know I'm doing the right thing and I'm doing it the right way. And so yeah, but no, I wouldn't change that, because at the end of the day, I hope everybody learned from that. So if you got me here, when I go over certain charts or certain trades and you got questions about it, let me know, because and I'm like, okay, well, um, P Brown asked the question. I'm sorry to throw your name out there randomly, but and it's just I'm just saying you didn't, but I'm saying P Brown asked the question about, you know, understanding support and resistance on Meta and how sometimes it's unclear. I'm like, okay, so when Meta pulls down to nearing the support level, let me point it out in real time when I see it because she asked that question. Those are the type of things that I need because then now I know, okay, when it's getting close to these key levels, I'm gonna say something. You know what I'm saying? But if y'all aren't, but I'm like, okay, everybody know this is a key level, so I don't have to do this. You get what I'm saying? So those are the things that kind of go that get my antennas going and make me kind of point out and focus on things. Otherwise, I'm gonna alert my trades and I'm gonna tell y'all to take that profit it's a lot of trades that we got out of early because I was about to walk away. And remember, we just started going back to I just started this week. I said I wasn't going to do that. I said I was just going to I wasn't going to do that. But anyway, that was a good question though, AK. I get what you meant and I appreciate the question, but everybody got to have some accountability and they're going to be, if this is your money and this is your hard-earned money, you got to move differently with the money. So, yeah. Um, KK, you got anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'm gonna be brief because I know we got to get to charts. So last week we consistently talked about Jackson Hole. Jackson Hole was the move. Like I sat in cash all week. I really didn't trade all week. I was like, this I want the big move. So I'll wait. Um and we I wasn't on the stream initially in the morning. I didn't see you were streaming. Um and I wasn't planning for a stream. I was like, me and Antoine talk and when Peter asked the day before, was Antoine gonna be on stream? And I was like, no, he's not. Because, I just and for people who don't know, like I've been trading with Antoine for many years. Like I know our major move plays, like the ones that he consistently talks about that we're consistently in and things that make the market really move. So I know like he normally if Powell is talking, he's not talking with us because he needs to be listening to what he's saying because things are going to signal trades based on the conversation. So I wasn't expecting him to get on stream. Um and when I got an alert that said he was live, I was like, oh, and I then looked at the chart because I had opened my computer, but I was like moving around and I looked and I was like, I know he's sick right now because I'm hearing him talk when I got on the stream and he's trying to fix it and get everything together. And I'm like, yeah, I'm never trying to say when y'all hear me like say certain things like, oh nah, we not on Zoom today, we not doing stuff, it's never because I'm trying to stop him from talking to the group or I want to I know things so I don't want y'all to know things. I'm doing it because I feel like he's at his best when he is not with us. Not because it's not a good thing. And he's able to trade with us all the time. But certain moves, I just want him to be in his zone and concentrating and not worried about none of that. Because I know he did then tell me, he was working on a setup. It wasn't that he wasn't anything like that. But I'm like him just even if he was at that computer, not worried about none of that, we would have been in that trade. The moment the market opened, he would have called at the money calls, and them things would have went $10 in the money. I know
Well,
that for a
KK,
fact.
well, really quickly,
I don't care.
so, but hold on. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say what you think. No, so actually, so what I did initially, I went into the Discord stream and Discord would not, you see how I got the screen segmented right now. Discord
Mhm.
wouldn't let me do that. So
Right.
I couldn't have my setup like this, so I had to do an emergency Zoom. But what happened was when I did start the stream on Discord to kind of start setting it up, Drew jumped on right away.
Hmm.
Shout out to Drew. And I told Drew, I said, well, what I'm planning on doing right now was putting us in QQQ calls at market open and playing them until Powell speaks. We're going to get out right before Powell starts speaking. And you see, right, it ran up, it broke out and ran up at market open and it ran until Powell started speaking. So that was a really big move. I mean, Peter was on there too when we talked about it. So that was the plan. But yeah, like I said, the stream started. it did not, it wouldn't let me do my setup. So I had to go to Zoom. And by the time I went to Zoom and did everything, it was like already 5 minutes into the market open. I looked up and saw that chart, man. Yeah, I was pissed about that. So yeah,
Yeah, I
we
know
ended
you
up
would.
still getting into a trade, but
Hmm.
it wasn't the trade that I wanted to put the team in, that I've been plotting on all week, so and then the market already had priced in that Powell wasn't going to do certain things, so they brought the market down nicely for us already. I was already
Right.
expecting for but you can ask Drew or anybody who had hopped on early in the morning pre-market. That's literally what I said.
I wish I
So
would
it
have got
wasn't
on
even,
pre-market because if I'd have heard that, I'd have had $1,000 easy. Because I
yeah,
wouldn't have waited for you to call out anything. I would have known what to do. But
yeah.
that's neither here nor there. I just be wanting, I'm never doing that. I just want the team to know I'm never doing that because I'm trying to like not let Antoine be on stream. I it's a focus when the chef is making the intricate food that people don't see, the lamb chop that's cut in this certain way, like he got to be focused and then he can present the plate to everybody, like, so that's how we going to eat when the chef is in the kitchen, when he's in the lab cooking. Forget him, don't be worried about him being on stream to hold your hand. He's going to call the trade better that way. That's all I
I
got to
mean,
say.
but then there's going to be times, like I said, that Friday, I wasn't. Thank you for your commentary, KK. I appreciate that. So, like I said, my thing is, I told you, so one last thing I want to say before I just go into these charts, because um, so like a lot of people, y'all didn't see me at all last week. Y'all didn't see me at all last week until Friday. I was moving around, I was doing stuff, but I got a rule. We have an options trading Bible that I wrote years ago, and I wrote it because I thought about things that I've been through as a trader, things that I've seen in this community, things that other traders have been through and that I've learned throughout my trading journey, but mainly specifically for this Discord community. And so I created this options trading Bible, right? And one of the rules in my trading Bible is if two trades don't work out, step back and come back with fresh eyes. It's almost like getting writer's block in the studio or something. You're not going to force a verse out and it be like a weak verse. You know what I'm saying? You're going to just take a step back, go do something else, and then come back. I'm not a gambler. If only time I gamble is if I'm doing parlays or if I'm playing earnings. You know what I'm saying? That's the only gambling I do. So if something like I'm not, people always say, like I'll do say things that are confident and people say, well, they think you're not humble. Now I'm humble enough to know, like, okay, two trades didn't work out back to back. So I'm not calling out another trade because now I may be revenge trading and I may say I'm not, but everybody's emotional, regardless of what you think. You are a human being. So I'm like, nope. I'm not, because now I have a vendetta against whatever stock it was, or now I have something to prove. Sometimes it ain't even none of those things. I may just not be in the right headspace and I don't even know it. So if two trades don't work out back to back, I'm taking a step back and I'm coming back with fresh eyes. So I'm like, we got Jackson Hole this week anyway. So there's no reason for me to trade. I'll post videos and give the team some setups on Meta for the week that they can trade, but I'm not going to trade. I'm gonna sit back. I got those rules, man. So that's why I've been around for so long. That's why every single year, no cocky stuff. That's why every single year my team make more money than they made the year before. That's why every year, I get better and better, and this team gets better and better, and I take less and less trades because
Absolutely.
I'm following the process. I have these rules for myself because I'm trading like a business. So I'm gonna tell y'all, new traders coming here and trying to push me to trade, because you want to gamble or whatever, just hold back. Just sit back. Like, this is what I do. This is my professional career. I've been doing this for a while. I got so many thousands of hours of doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like, when people go, I got a PS5, I got an Xbox, but when I think about turning them things on, I'm looking at charts. You know what I mean? I'm analyzing, I'm back testing charts. I'm reading, I'm dissecting Greeks and options. I'm looking I'm analyzing Vega exposure and IV. I'm looking at stuff like that. That's what I like to do. So, like I said before earlier, people see the teeth and see the diamond teeth and they want to judge you a certain way. Like, listen, man, y'all have no idea. I'm a monster in this options market, and this is all I want to do. I want to analyze and look at. It's like chess to me, man. I want to perfect everything that's wrong, and and just get it and be better and better. I'm a monster. I master everything, and mediocrity is not an option. That's why I gave myself a C- for this last week. And so, I hold myself to the same standard. You're following me, you're gonna be good around here. Don't try to everybody who try, and I'm not trying to be funny to people because it's people in here. Everybody got a little cockiness to them and want to challenge and do stuff like this. But listen, go ahead and go out on your own and do what you want to do. But I'm telling you, I trade like a business. I've been through everything that you're possibly going to go through, and I'm just trying to protect you from it. And that's all I be trying to do. So follow me. There are some days I'm not going to trade at all. Find out why. You know what I mean? There are some days where it's like, okay, cool. You might have made a couple dollars, but was it really worth it? Was it really worth it? There's some traders in this community who every single alert I see they post 5 contracts. They grab 5 contracts. So on them days when the market sit them down, we don't see them for weeks. And this happens every single time. So just think about people that you see a lot and then you don't see them for weeks. It's because they blow their account every few weeks. It's like, damn, I ran you up. I ran you up. So then when I take a break and don't trade, you keep buying them 5 contracts, doing it your way, and then you blow your account. And now you got to start all over again. And it's like I'm trading like a business. Like KK said the other day, she's still trading with money that I made her 6 months ago, or like 4 or 5 months ago. You get what I'm saying? So it's like you gotta follow the process. Come on now, y'all. You're trying to get it too quickly, and that's why it's not happening. So it's don't think that, oh, because I'm not trading, you should be trading. And I'm saying, like, I can't tell everybody what to do, but if you are a new trader, don't follow after them people you see, in the group that's doing what they're doing. They may have been trading for a long time. Like, shout out to James. James, man, James came in this community, and I'm only saying this because James said it himself, right? But James came in this community. See, KK gave him a shout out last week. James came in this community. He booked the coaching. He came in there. He came in there with a pen. He was asking a lot of questions during the coaching. And, I taught him 2 setups, 2 of my favorite setups. This man comes in this community and he be beating the market down. Shout out to him. And that's what I'm talking about. He does it consistently, though. He does it consistently. You see a few people come in here, they doing their thing. But then I'm like, yo, you got to understand, we don't know how much money everybody's working with. So you may see James grabbing 5 contracts or 10 contracts, whatever James is grabbing, but you don't know how much money James is working with. So he still may be trading with less than 20% of his total available cash to trade. So you can't just jump in trying to catch up to people who've been trading for a while, who already been through certain things. You come in here and follow your own process. I mean, follow the fundamentals and learn as you grow, and you're going to be successful. But I just don't want. I plan on having a great week this week. So every trade is not going to be for you. Every trade is not going to be your trade. So just really think about that. Sit back and let the money come in, but you don't have to. I just don't want everybody to just slow down. I want y'all to be around here for a while because, like I said, if you win, I win. So that's all I got to say about that.
And I still only buy 1 and 2 contracts. Still don't overdo it. Been trading for mad years.
See, yeah. So that's what it's about. Just being patient, but also just being consistent and knowing who you are as a trader. All right, I'm gonna move on.
Can I chime in real quick, Antoine?
Hey, what's up, Drew?
I just want to talk about Meta real fast. Yeah, so I pretty much got out of Meta at the open, right? I reviewed, the meeting, the levels you pointed out during that meeting for Meta, and I was like, hey, it's similar to a Friday for me. We were expecting, a gap up, right? We didn't get it. It blasted through a few levels. I'm already looking to, get out, right? I'm like, okay, cool. Let me see first 5 minutes, maybe. But my alerts are already going off like, hey, trade didn't work out. We can always re-enter, if we see a setup. So, I pretty much got out, at the open. But I carry that same thing. I'm like, Anton's not going to be, or Anton's not going to be here. Mondays are usually choppy anyway, right? So I got these things in my head, and I'm like, yeah, today might not be the day for Meta, right? Let me get out. I don't want to let Theta, eat that contract up, right? So I just, took that loss and, on to the next trade for me. So yeah, that's how I carried it.
And shout out before we go, shout out my guy Jasif and Deo. The YNs always going to follow the price action. They went straight and grabbed puts immediately. They know what time it is and they made that bread. So shout them out as always.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, but I do gotta add on to what Drew just said though, because he said, like I tell y'all, I only swing for one reason. I'm swinging for one reason. I'm swinging because, so let's just assume that I'm swinging calls. I'm swinging because I'm expecting a gap up. I don't have to. I can wait until the next day if I'm not waiting. I'm not expecting a gap up because then I'm gonna probably get the contract cheaper. I'm only swinging because I'm expecting a gap up. If I don't swing, it's because I'm not expecting a gap up. If I'm talking about calls, so that's what I'm saying. So you don't have to be in something, but people just gotta be in something. They got this gambling itch, right? But Drew said at market open, we knew that the trade didn't work out already, and you already knew. Now I'm saying if I'm seeing Meta drop in pre-market, I'm looking for news. I'm looking to see if there's anything that could have caused the stock to drop. Like what news is it? Because the rest of the sector was up, like the market was up. Like what is going on? Mark Zuckerberg, he over there restructuring the AI organization again. So, and I posted some stuff about that too. But you gotta really because like I said, when you zoom out and you think about things like that, like there are going to be sometimes where news catalysts will foil your trade. So just keep that in mind. And then we got Trump out there, so them headlines be coming out, and it just the volatility is there, and so just yeah, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, so but retrading for everybody. But yeah, but one last thing, I am moving on, but I just want to say this. So remember what I said, right? So people come in and they go through the start here and the onboarding materials, but they rush through them. So it's like just look at it like this. And I always tell y'all this. And in elementary school, they give y'all them big mathematics books, and you got the adding and subtracting, and you got the multiplication, the fractions, and division. Just because you skimmed through and you read everything during adding and subtracting, did you really understand it? Did you grasp the concept to so no, but you want to get to multiplication because that's what everybody's talking about. So you can, oh yeah, 3 times 3 is 9, but you really don't understand how it got there because you don't really understand adding and subtracting, right? So now when it's time to problem solve because now the mathematics are your elements that you use to figure out problems now. So Susie got 3 apples and she gave Jason one. How many she have? And now you're like 3 times 3 is 9. You get what I'm saying? Like you don't remember, so you're not really grasping the concept of the support and resistance and stuff like that. But you're ready to skip on because you want to say you did. So like Drew, he's remembering the basics, the concepts of just like the because the options trading Bible is all theory. So it's not even technical, it's theory. Just even remembering that'll save you from so much trouble and heartache, right? So I want y'all to just focus on the basics. There be people in here like Drew, just he didn't overthink it. He said, okay, it didn't work out. So I'm just cutting the trade. I'm not going to hold and hope it didn't work out. Or I'm not going to start thinking about all of these other indicators and stuff like that. I'm going to zoom out support and resistance, support and resistance. That's where it's going to start and that's where it's going to end at support and resistance. Zoom out and look at support and resistance. That's just what I'm going to tell you. That's what I'm doing. Right. So I want y'all to just and trust me, it's easy for me to say, but since trading is 90% psychological, at market open, your mind goes a lot of places. And if you in a trade that was too expensive and you in over your head and you really need your coach, man, I'm gonna tell you, look, the crazy thing is, yo, I'm gonna tell y'all, hey, AK, you asked me, you said, how would I like, do I think I could have handled things a little differently? When I finally came around, I had a plan. I had a plan for something because like it was one time before we were in meta puts. I mean, what meta calls we swung over the weekend. Some crazy news came out, and I think the whole market came down. I think it was Deep Seek or something like that. And I put the whole team in puts. So I just improvised and put the team in puts, and we ran it all the way up. But the whole point was KK said, "Nah, let them call you. Like if they want, they didn't ask any questions on Sunday. If they need you this morning, they're gonna call for you." And not one person the whole day summons me, you know, at all either. Just think about that, right? So I got a question for you, and it's rhetorical. Do you think
So,
y'all should change the way y'all do things? Hold,
no,
hold on 1 second.
no,
Yeah, I'm
because
sorry.
see, no, because I actually wanted to interrupt you previously as well because it was a my question. It wasn't a you question. I wasn't. The question wasn't about whether you should change the approach. It was what I should be doing because it was all in my mindset. Yeah, I know you answered a whole lot about that, but it wasn't a you question to be honest. It was because what I told you was okay. If it's an expensive trade, I usually think a lot about when there's a pullback and then end up selling it at a loss. So it was a question about what I should be doing was more of a me question rather than a you question.
No, but it was a great question though. That's why I was saying, like, I went back to it and I said, well, now, so now I was throwing it back to y'all. Like, so do y'all think that y'all should be changing the way that y'all do things? I'm talking about in terms of like, because think about it. If this the whole point, most people who join this community, they don't know options or they came from somewhere else where it's not as where like I'm on y'all and excuse my French, but I'm on y'all ass about this about being on the stuff y'all supposed to be on and I'll give you a lot of tough love, but when you leave this community, you won't be able to say that I wasn't on you, and I let y'all do anything. Whether it was a win or loss, I'm like, you may have won, but damn, you bought that many contracts to make only that amount. You know what I'm saying? I'm on you about everything around here that can cause you to blow your account. So I really want the team to think like, should you change your approach on feedback? Like, should you change your approach on like I don't know. Like I'm just throwing it out there because I wondered if the team is going to really change that approach. Because I mean it's like yeah, I think we could do a whole lot better as a team. Meaning like so the more intel I get from the team, the better I could include the little people. And when I say the little people, the people who are blowing their accounts because there's so many people and and I'm gonna tell you it means something if I want y'all to think about this because I do the numbers, I look at them all the time. Churn is important, right? So I'm like, damn, most people who join this community, I be looking at the life cycle of they stay here for at least a year. You know what I mean? And then if they make it past a certain time, they never like for the most part, they be here for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Like we got people who've been in this community for years and they still making money because they're following this process. It works and we keep making more and more money. So just if you're not getting it, nobody really said anything on Monday at all. Not a single thought. And I would have, I would have, and not that like I said, I was doing what I was doing, but I'm like, uh, damn, nobody needed help with anybody. Nobody had any questions. Nobody like y'all were good. I'm like, well, maybe nobody took that trade. So I don't know. It's a whole lot of maybes that I don't know the answer to. That's why I wanted to know what y'all did with Meta if you took it as your homework assignment to get more intel. So like I said, everything I do is the method to everything. I want to be I want to if the more people I can get um to follow the process and to understand the things that we do around here, uh, the the better. So I want more and more people to win. But I do want y'all to follow the process. But at the same time, if you are and if you still having questions, like it was one time, one meta trade, and I think it was on a Monday. We swung it over the weekend, or maybe it was a Tuesday. I don't know, but we was in a meta trade, and yeah, it was probably a Tuesday. And Peter came out the cut, and he was like, um, Meta did this. He was like, "Well, I was wondering if you thought it was going to do this, man." I ended up posting a chart. I recorded a video, and then we ended up hopping on Zoom because I felt like now my presence was needed, and I needed to. It was too much to type, so I said, "Let me hop on stream," and we ended up standing that trade, and that ended up being a really great trade. I recorded a video about that too. But the whole point is, it's certain things that like that bring that creates other things, you know. So it's like if y'all gotta, but if everybody got it, you know, I'm like, okay, good, my team's under control. Let me go hit 1,000 tennis balls really quickly. I paid a lot of money for that ball machine, so I'm gonna use it. So, but I'm saying, but just think about that. I'm here for y'all to help y'all, but y'all gotta help me help you, you know. So new members, just keep that in mind as the time goes by. But I want to just go over some of this economic data really quickly. We got some Fed speakers this week. We got we got Logan on Monday at 3:15. We got Williams Monday at 7:15 after the market closes. Obviously, we got Barkin on Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. Barkin. Uh, Wednesday at 11:45 a.m. And then we got Waller Thursday at 6 p.m. The market will be closed, but Waller is another Fed speaker that likes to move the market and that whose opinion is very influential on the market. So just pay attention to the market Barkin speaks. Economic data, we got new home sales Monday. We got durable goods orders Tuesday. We got housing price index Tuesday, consumer confidence Tuesday. Now I'm gonna stop here for a second. So consumer confidence is a piece of economic data, that survey that comes out that tells us how the consumer feels about the economy, and it kind of goes through. But the thing is, it happens at 10 a.m. So the market is open for 30 minutes, and sometimes you get a sharp move in the market when consumer confidence comes out. So I'm just putting that on your radar because some people be in trades and don't understand. Okay, most economic data happens pre-market, but consumer confidence happens at 10 a.m. like JOLTS data. We got Richmond Fed Index Tuesday. We got GDP Thursday. So we got GDP on Thursday. I'm not really sure how impactful GDP is going to be this week. That's what I would say. I'm not sure how impactful GDP will be this week, but we got GDP, and that's something that we need to be paying attention to. We got jobless claims Thursday. We got pending home sales Thursday. We got PCE data on Friday. Now, I think PCE data is going to be a very important data point. And here's why. So this is why I listen to the Fed and I just be listening. But you remember, yeah, the Fed was the Fed was dovish on Friday, and people weren't really expecting them to be dovish, but the Fed was dovish, and so it sounded like that we could possibly get rate cuts. But like I said to y'all on like last Wednesday, it's too much data. It's too much data. Well, Thursday, it's too much data that we get before that next FOMC meeting to really see if that's not realistic, right? So we got PCE data, we got another jobs report happening, and we have CPI and PPI, and all of them happening before this meeting. So if this PCE data, this is on the Fed's primary inflation metric too. So Fed Chair Jay Powell um, uses PCE data as a gauge, as a metric, and adds more weight to it than CPI and PPI, right? So if this comes in hot, so you got the core, you got the headline. But if this core PCE inflation, if it comes in high, the market probably comes down. That's just what I say, because then they'll start pricing in, because people still really think we're going to get multiple rate cuts this year. But Powell is saying, and some people still think that Powell is too restrictive. But at the same time, the data tells the story. And I mean, let me make something clear to y'all. CPI came in cooler than expected this last print, but PPI came in hotter than expected. Now, let me break this down to y'all for a second. So, and Walmart kind of touched on this too with earnings, and that's why Walmart dropped too. So Walmart missed EPS for the first time in a long time, but the tariffs are starting to kick in. But what Walmart did, the reason Target is doing so bad, because Walmart's like, Target is in this conundrum. We're going to take advantage of this process, and what we're going to do, instead of, because I mean CPI measures the inflation to us, the consumer, but PPI is the producers. You know, the wholesale, right? So, and Walmart said on their earnings call, and I just read the transcript, I didn't listen to the call, but they said on the earnings call that they've been eating the cost, and not passing it down to the consumer because they want to be able, they're trying to gain market share. So right now they're gonna take that hit right now just to gain the market share. So but we gotta understand eventually, all because PPI is high, and I feel like, and I just, it's something weird about it, but eventually, if Walmart is saying that they're eating the cost, and CPI came in cooler than expected, that means other companies are doing the same thing. Eventually, it's going to be too much for them to handle, and they're going to start to have to pass the cost down to us again, and CPI is going to come in hotter because these tariffs are causing a lot of um turmoil, and it's like putting a lot of pressure on these wholesalers and just like trade in general. So we got to really consider that we may be keeping it cool for right now, on the sake of trying to, yeah, everybody's trying to do as much as they can to keep prices low for the consumer, right? And so, but like I said, eventually they're not going to be able to do that anymore, and it's going to bleed over. So PPI was cool now, but the tariffs are starting to bleed. The effects of the tariffs are starting to bleed over. I want to see if PCE data on Friday give us more information and more, color on what's going on with inflation, and so that's going to be a very important CPI. I'm sorry, PPI, PCE data on Friday that we're going to get. And then we got consumer sentiment. That's another one that comes in at 10 a.m. So yeah, but yeah, I didn't want to, but I had to unpack that a little bit because it's a lot. It's important. So let's go over and talk about some charts now. Well, damn. Let's go hit some charts. Let's go hit some charts. Hold on. One sec. Let's hit some charts, man. Just give me one sec. Matter of fact, there we go. Resume. And yeah, I gotta move that out of the way. Let's do it like this. That's a lot better. Cool. So let's talk, man. So I guess since I got this SPY chart up, we're gonna go ahead and start with SPY, man. Look at this SPY chart, man. Look at this SPY chart. Y'all know how I feel about stocks or just ETFs at all-time highs, but this was a nice move we got and a nice push up here. Let me zoom out and show y'all the weekly chart first. You can kind of see what's been going on here. This was an interesting move, man. Look at this bounce down here, and this was just a week, so 1 week make a difference. Nice, cool weekly move on here. All right, so y'all see the move. We got the bounce for continuation. This thing is set up to go higher, and that's just how it's set up, man. So for a SPY, say over that 646.50, look for a move to 648 and then maybe 650. So to the downside, I mean, this is what I tell y'all this all the time, man, but it is what it is. But and we'll talk about it in more detail, but I just want to give y'all these levels first. But on the put side, under 637.25, first target would be 635.54. Then we got 632.88 and so on. But look, I like how we reclaimed this support level. So it broke through resistance and held it at support, and it sustained most of its gains for its highest close in history. This is the highest close ever, right? So and I like this because we got the pullback, we got the continuation, we got the retest, and now we're getting the push forward. Now, like I said, we going, it may cool off a little bit, but I like this and if we do get a pullback, I want y'all to just pay attention to this. A pullback on this would be healthy down here to the 642.59 or somewhere around there, and for a bounce, I mean, and a continuation higher, and then the first target would be that 646.50. You can play it like that too. Now, if this pulls back, right, you can look at this another way. Like if this thing pulls back and then it comes up and it retests this level and rejects off it, you can play puts down here to 639.19 and then play it down like that, where you don't have to wait for that trigger for puts. So it's different ways you can play it, but you got to be able to play like that. But yeah, keep Spy on watch, man. QQQ, similar setup. I mean, it's not as because the big tech took a big hit last week, especially led by Meta. Then you had Tesla. You had a lot of pullbacks. Nvidia, everything was kind of coming down. So so yeah. So you see Spy. It has so many other sectors in it where QQQ is big tech, and we got some finance stocks in there. And so we got some room on this one. I like this chart a lot better because we nice 222, a nice 212 reversal here. And yeah, reclaim the 90 MA, reclaim that support level. So I'll say over 573.99, over 574, over 574. My first target would be 574.65. And then we got 570. Yeah, my next target after that, I'm going straight to five after 574.65. Um, yeah, I'm going straight to I'm gonna put another level there just because sometimes me personally, I don't like sub levels at at places like this. I feel like it'll go straight to where it needs to go at, but I'm gonna put it here anyway. So yeah, so after that, so we got 574.65, we got 576.67, then we got 579.73. To the put side, if we lose that I'm sorry, that 563.27, first target 562.62 to 559.84. PDD, they got earnings tomorrow morning pre-market. This is a Chinese stock. This is the company, the parent company of Temu. This is where KK and Peter get all of their clothes from. So this stock, I don't know what's gonna happen next week, but tomorrow. But you saw I showed you at when we first started this meeting that the top call options flow for the day and week went into PDD. So maybe, it looked like maybe somebody knows something. I don't know, but it's been on a move. And that was a nice gap up on Friday too. But, we had a lot going on last week, but that was a nice gap up. Let me zoom out a little bit on this and see what's up with this chart. This is definitely one to watch. Ooh, look at the weekly chart on this one. Ooh. Let me just look at that. See, that's why we always zoom out because it was so hard to really see the whole story or the whole picture looking from the daily chart without zooming out. As a matter of fact, hold on. Let me just pull this over some like this and move this up. So we got that. I could do it like this too. There's so many ways you could because initially yeah, this is a nice move right here. It's just weird when you look at a chart, man, and it's been moving like this the whole time. It's been making these higher highs on the weekly, but you see every time it came up here, it got rejected, right? But the reason I had it here first is because it got stopped out here. We came up, we hit this level, came back down. So that kind of I'll create a broadening formation, but when you come back down and look here, sorry, hold on. Oh yeah, that makes more sense now. Okay, cool. Yeah. So, but I wanted to account for the broadening formation. That's why I had it the other way. But when looking at it this way, I'm just because this is a weekly chart. So it's ready to be September now. So this is like a year out. And it's been getting rejected every time. So it's been making these lower lows. So now we broke out of it. So this looks good. Let me go back to the daily chart now that I have my vision is clear. And hold on one second. Let me go back for 1 second and make that line visible here on the weekly. I'm daily, my bad. There we go. Go back. Yeah, nice. Get you out of here. Been trading certain stocks for so long, man. You got all these old levels and you gotta be in the way. But yeah, that chart looks good. It looks good. And just looking at, let me give it some more. Right here.
Antoine, I think from a volume perspective, this is like huge volume on the 926, almost like 47 million.
Yeah, I was just looking at the options flow and I saw that it was a lot of that was the top call options flow on the
130s. Yeah.
yeah, for the week and the daily. So but one sec. Let me just but yeah, this chart. So I wanted to make sure I covered this chart because I think it's gonna be a really big trade possibly this week. It's telling a story. And one sec. So yeah, just for this one, I showed y'all the weekly chart, the daily. We got the 50 EMA crossing the 200 EMA, so we got a golden cross on this one also. It just happened, so things are looking good. And remember, Chinese stocks got hit really badly initially, so things could be turning around here. So over at 129, my first target on this one would be but I say over 129. Yeah, over 129 first target, 131, second target, 133.33, and so on. This thing it broke out and we got a move. And yeah, just keep it on watch. And even with that increase in bearish volume that came in on Friday, it still held up here and closed flat. Well, just it opened at 127.48, closed at 127.11. So like within a few cents of where it opened. So it was a pretty. They held it up pretty well heading into whatever happens tomorrow. So yeah, so this could possibly give a lot of trade, a lot of moves possibly for tomorrow, a big move for tomorrow under 125.82. The first target would be this gap fill. So we got a gap fill. It's going to probably try to close here. That would be my first target. Yeah, make that my first target. Will be the gap fill. And then we got 121.94, 119.92, and so on. But yeah, it looked like this thing is ready for a big move. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens because I always tell people a lot of times what's more important, open interest is more important than volume because volume, that's why I like volume. I pay attention to volume and during intraday trading. Um, I don't care about volume after the market close because volume resets to zero at every day. And volume only matters to me during intraday trading. Open interest is going to be more important because they do something called volume spoofing a lot. They'll send a lot. If I was selling, if I was an option seller, because all of us can sell options too. If you own 100 shares of a stock, you can sell options against it and make a passive income doing that. So if I wanted to advertise, let's say I was selling the PDD 135 call, right? Because I own 100 shares of the stock and I want to make money on the PDD 135 call. I don't think the stock going up there. Let's just say I just because if you don't you're not thinking the stock going up there. So I'm just using that option as an example. But let's say I'm gonna sell calls on that strike. I'm gonna buy if I buy let's say the volume on that strike is zero. If I buy 500 shares, I mean 500 options, calls or whatever, and then sell 500 calls. The the volume on that is not going to say 500. It's going to say 1,000. So you don't know what's bull. You don't know if it's bullish or bearish. You just see volume. If I bought 1,000 of them, 1,000 options, you'll see 1,000 in volume. If I sell that 1,000, you're going to see 2,000 in volume. So I want to just if I want to advertise that strike because that's the one that I'm selling options on, I'm gonna keep buying and selling options on it all day long and just keep running the volume up and nobody know whether it's bullish or bearish volume. So that's why I don't pay attention to volume unless I'm intraday trading and it's supporting the chart and there's something else going on. I actually go and unpack exactly what's going on and see what's really happening on there. So the volume is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what's going on. So you got to understand it's a market everywhere for people to make money. And, for every option we buy, there's someone on the other side of that trade selling it. So there's somebody buying an option when we're selling it. But I'm saying, but when you're an options writer, you're someone who's selling 100 shares of the stock against, I mean, you have 100 shares of the stock. that you can sell against it if someone was to exercise the right to buy those shares at your strike price, right? So if it gets there. So just keep that in mind, because the volume is just a supporting detail. But if you're not going to unpack it deeper and deeper and deeper and have the time to do that, then it's just volume. So just like remember that because the volume spoofing is real around here. It is definitely real. And it's something that they use to clap a lot of people because it's not that easy. You know what I'm saying? It's not that easy. If it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. Because look, most people don't want to learn technical analysis, so they try to find other things. And it's like, okay, well, cool. Let me advertise this strike. Let me have this stock. Or if you see a stock running pre-market, a lot of times they're advertising that stock. They want to get people in there so they can dump a bunch of shares into it. You know what I mean? So this stuff I learned from, being on the trade desk floor at T Row, hearing people, talk about these things and different concepts that they use, that stocks use to raise money or to dump shares. Because think about it, if a person, if a whale or somebody, a smart money or whatever, they want to dump a bunch of shares of a stock, they're going to cause panic if they dump a bunch of shares because the stock is just going to drop because they own so much. So they'll advertise the stock first to get FOMO in it, to get retail involved. So while everybody's buying it up or buying, they're dumping into it. So it's masked, it's hidden in there. So that's why I be taking stocks so long to break through certain levels because there are people dumping shares into that and dumping it right into the FOMO buying. So just keep that stuff in mind. And when you out here in these streets and just watching these stocks running pre-market or even just looking at these stocks that or the options chain and seeing all of this volume, because a lot of times you'll see a lot of volume and then the next day you saying like, damn, I saw like 100K in volume in that strike, and then the next day it'd be only 10K in open interest. Like, damn, they tricked us for real. Like, so and I was like, oh man. But just keep that in mind too. And because that's something I'm saying that for the people because there's a lot of new people in here that, and I've been doing this for a while, and it's like they'll hear something that sounds simpler, more simple than support and resistance, and they try to focus on that, and then they keep getting clapped. Like, so you got to use them. It's a supporting detail, but that works with everything else too. So just make sure it all makes sense too. But yeah, PDD, keep that one on watch. Nice trade. I think it's gonna be a possibly a big trade. All right, cool. Meta. I gotta excuse my meta chart. Yeah, I gotta excuse my meta chart. I like meta for a lot of reasons. And 1 second. So that line, that red highlighted area, this was the same highlighted area that I had on my chart when I recorded the video last week because meta came up when the meta was coming down. I was telling y'all that was a key level that it needed to watch for it to move. And this was the move that J Rock was talking about right here when meta came up and bounced here. But meta closed under this level. So I had recorded a video that night telling y'all like it closed under this level. So if it breaks through it, then we could play it to the upside. But since it closed under it, it rejected it. Look for a retest of this resistance for a move down. Ended up gapping down and coming down first though, but then we got to move back up. We reclaimed this level and we held it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you see all this other stuff. You see a 9 EMA right there and everything, but we reclaimed this level. And so and that was a nice 212 reversal to the upside on Meta. And Meta got sold down so much last week. And I feel like, think about it, when you're looking for big tech was one of the stocks that was going to suffer the most if Powell came in there too hawkish, because it was going to be big tech was going to get hit a lot, and so most people were anticipating that, and stocks were selling off all week. So any little bit of news that came in on Meta, and again, I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna act like it wasn't just that Mark Zuckerberg doing a whole lot. He definitely, this is the we this is we restructured several times in the last 6 months. So it's just like people like, damn, and they working things out. But so the stock came down but so it's a lot of look at the weekly chart here on Meta. I want y'all to just see. So it's a lot to reclaim on this. Yeah, this already played out. You know what I mean? Came back down to this key. I just like the fact that we were able to reclaim this level here. And I think we get a continuation. But we'll see what happens. So this is an area where Meta can come back down and retest and pull back to. Long as we hold this area, if people can play it off of this level, this is line in the sand area. So, but yeah, over 756.90, my first target for Meta. We got um we got 758.49, 761.25, 765.09, 771 for the downside on Meta. If we lose that 734.39, we got 728.37, 726.67, 723.69. We got 722. Yeah, we got a lot of levels down there to the downside. But the main one, if Meta lose that level again, if Meta breaks all the way down there again, Meta's going to 619 and probably go. I'm gonna look at the weekly chart again because it's like some things, some areas in there. Yeah. So Meta needs to hold. If Meta was to come down, Meta would need to hold that 630. If Meta takes out that trigger, I think Meta would probably make a bigger move down. But I feel like Meta 635, Meta will probably get stopped up right there. They'll probably catch it right there again. If you look at the last few moves down, they kind of stopped it around there. But yeah, unless the market comes down or there's some other weird news with Zuckerberg, but we absorbed that news, man. We started absorbing the news, and that was a nice pullback. I like that pullback that we had. So whoever sold this off right here bought it back up right here. So there we go. Let's go ahead and let's see what's up with Meta. But yeah, the key levels are important, man. Just try to watch the key levels and stick to them. Uh, here we go. Here we go. So Nvidia got earnings on Wednesday, and this is like the biggest thing that everybody's waiting on because this is another thing that could cause a sell-off, a major sell-off in the whole market. Nvidia. This is one of them stocks that can actually do that because it's a huge stock, right? Everybody knows that. Nvidia is one of them stocks that everybody's watching, everybody's waiting on and waiting to see. And they report Wednesday, like I said, after the close. So it'll be a market moving event that everybody will be watching for to take place. I don't know what's going to happen with Nvidia earnings. Honestly, I like the stock. I like the way it's been moving. I like the pullback on it ahead, but at the same time, it's one of them stocks where most of the time Nvidia trades in the middle. Most of the time it trades in the middle. Most of the time the move is priced in. So do I think they're gonna beat and raise guidance? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll beat and raise, but then there's this tariff situation, but then um they creating this new chip specifically, this new semiconductor, this new chip specifically for China now, because China was like they didn't want any of our like because for a while we stopped. Trump said we can't sell any chips to China, right? And so then Trump said we can go ahead and start selling the regular ones back, but then they said they didn't want them because they felt like we had some intelligence in there, backdoor intelligence that would um see what was going on because there was a lot of chips that were actually being smuggled into China. So they started putting trackers on some like packages, but not the actual chips. China said they didn't want any of them, any of the chips that we had. So we created a new one for China. There's a new one that's being created right now. So I don't know what type of I don't know if it's going to end up being a headwind or tailwind when they talk about it, but I feel like I can see that being a tailwind if because what China's trying to do now is they're saying, we're too dependent on the US for the semiconductors. We need to front run making our own. And so we should have known that sooner or later that was going to happen. And so we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what Jensen Wong has to say about this and how that what impact that's going to have. I'm not trading Nvidia earnings regardless. If I was to trade it, I would do like an iron condor or something like that because I believe it's going to trade in the middle, but I'm not touching it. I'll trade it. It'll probably be a good trade, a run up trade or something maybe, the trade or trade after it, but I'm not touching the earnings on Nvidia. If the earnings was tomorrow, I would not touch it. But maybe if it pulled down to the 50 or something like that, then maybe. But if you want to just trade it just for the hell of trading, looking for a trade but not earnings, over 178.59. My first target would be 179, excuse me, 179.38. Then we got 180, 183.60. And then we got that all-time high at 184.48. Under 171.20, my first target would be what I say, yeah, 171.20. So I'm gonna say nah, under 171. Under one at 171. My first target on this would be, let me give you another maybe because we got that gap fill was there. I got the gap fill was cool, but we gotta it could possibly make another move. I don't really want to have that be the only move. So yeah, under 171, my first target would be 178.80. Then we got that 166.82. Then we got 165.54 on that one, and so on. If if there was to be some violence. Now the thing is, I'm gonna tell y'all, this is why Nvidia earnings is tricky. And even let's just say Nvidia was to miss and fall off a cliff, right? There's so many people who know that this is a great stock and it's only going to continue going up. They're going to buy the dip on it. You know what I'm saying? So it's still going to trade in the middle. There would have to be something crazy like a beat and a miss, or I'm sorry, a miss and a guide down or something. Then we got the data center guidance. They got all of this, so many different components to Nvidia that would have to miss for this stock to really have a really bad drop. Now, so I don't know. We're going to see what happens. I mean, everything falls, but right now this is I, I'm not sure. But the stock has been running up, and you look how hard it has ran up since the last print. That's a huge move, right? So I mean, it has room to come down, but it's going to be people buying it up. So like I said, it's not worth playing for earnings if earnings was to happen tomorrow. If based on this chart, the way the chart looks, it's just I wouldn't touch it. Yeah. So nah. Wouldn't touch it, but yeah, that's a trade for Nvidia. Here we go, app loving, beautiful chart, beautiful app loving chart, beautiful chart, beautiful breakout on app loving. This is a great looking chart, man. Beautiful breakout on app loving. Here, this chart, man. Look at app loving, man. Looking good like that, man, with that breakout. Hold on. Nice breakout on that chart, man. Oh, look good. So yeah, man, for app loving, I like this, man. Over 446.92. My first target on this one would be 457.73. And then we got 473 um 70. That's where I would be going. I wouldn't be playing. We got the breakout on this, man. This thing is ready to go. Now under 412.33, my first target on this one. Well, under 412.33, it's going to 400. Just that's the first target. Then 390, 90, but they may stop it. I would be careful around 400. They'll probably play. It could be possibly they'll probably fight for 400. Now, last week was tricky because there was a lot of uncertainty in the market because of we were waiting Powell on for Jackson Hole, so it was a lot of weakness in the market. So it didn't necessarily hold that level, but it closed above it, but it did hold the 50 EMA. So yeah, I'm loving they had a good earnings and everything. So yeah, keep this one on watch. That's one of them ones. Goldman Sachs. Goldman. Look at this. So we back up here. So we still in this range. So we got the breakdown. We came back down and now we're back up. We're back up in here in this area. So we lost it. We came back up. We got it again, right? So um because see here, we came up, we broke out the first time, we came back, gave it a nice retest, held it a few times, and then the market, everything came down. I remember this day here with this bearish engulfing, came down, but we still held the structure up pretty well, and that was breaking back up here. So for Goldman, I'm gonna say over 744.84. My first target, well, my target would be 749.05 and so on. Because that'll be at all-time highs again. So 749.05, then possibly 755 and 760. Now for puts, if it was to lose to 718.58, my first target would be 716, 716.34, 711.26, 708, and then we got the 90 MA. But I think it will hold the bottom of that structure, which kind of lines up down there as well. So we'll see what happens. I wouldn't expect for it to break down too much, but yeah, keep this one on watch. And 1 second. So here's UNH, man. So we still holding a 50. We got that pullback, but the 50 is being held. I like that little that 212 reversal that we got right there on it as well. To the upside, holding right here, just under this key level that we trying to break back over. But this looks pretty good. So I'll say over over 310.68. My first target would be um 315.89, and then we got 324.48, and then we got the 52-week high at 326.55, and so on. If we lose that 304.58, my first target would be 300, and then we got 295.09, then we got 293. Well, I'm gonna say 205. I'm sorry, 295.09, and then we got 291.75. But yeah, keep this one on watch. And fam, that's all I got right now. Sorry to keep y'all so long, but we had a lot to cover. Thank y'all for hopping on, and enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday. Cheers.
Thank
Appreciate it,
you.
You as
Antoine.
well, man.
No problem.
Anytime.
Have a
Thank
good one.
you.
Sunday. Thank you, bro.
Hey, no problem. And thanks for your feedback too, AK and K and everybody else who spoke, KK, J Rock, Drew. Peace. I see you, Big Mike.